Listen carefully, chosen one, before the noise of this world tries to pull you away, because what I am authorized to tell you right now is not for the crowd. This message carries clearance. It carries access. It carries confirmation that what you have felt tightening around your life these last few weeks was not pressure meant to crush you, but a seal being broken. Heaven has been watching you walk through rooms where your name wasn't spoken with honor, through systems that delayed you without explanation, through conversations that stopped the moment you entered. And you wondered quietly, privately, what did I do wrong? From where I stand, from the vantage point you cannot see yet, I tell you this plainly, nothing malfunctioned. You unlocked God mode clearance, and the resistance you felt was the alarm system of realms that were never meant to hold you. I'm speaking to the version of you who has been fighting battles no one clapped for. The one who kept showing up while being quietly excluded. The one who watched opportunities circle back to people less prepared but more palatable. You felt the heavy energy when you lay down at night, like your chest was buzzing, like your spirit refused to fully rest. You've been having those dreams, haven't you? Not nightmares exactly, but vivid scenes where doors open suddenly, where people who ignored you now stare, stunned, as if they missed a memo. That wasn't random. That was heaven rehearsing your arrival. And here's what the enemy doesn't want you to hear, so I'm slowing down right now to make sure it lands. Your clearance was upgraded before your circumstances changed. That's why things around you started glitching. From the enemy's point of view, and yes, I'm allowed to show you this perspective briefly, they thought isolation would neutralize you. They assumed delay would drain your confidence. They whispered through jealous peers, through family members who meant well but spoke fear, through systems designed to reward conformity. If we can keep them waiting, they said, they'll forget who they are. But something went wrong with that plan. Every closed door sharpened your discernment. Every silent betrayal trained you to hear instructions without applause. You weren't being stalled, you were being cleared. God mode isn't about force. It's about authorization. And authorization terrifies anything built on control. Now pause with me here, because what I'm about to reveal explains why the pressure intensified recently. Heaven doesn't celebrate arrivals casually. When clearance is granted, realms respond. That's why the financial blockage didn't make sense. That's why contracts stalled, payments delayed, or opportunities almost landed and then evaporated. It felt personal. It felt targeted. Because it was. Not as punishment, but as proof that you were crossing a threshold. Enemies don't mobilize unless territory is shifting. And territory is shifting because you were trusted with access others would misuse. See the moment you almost doubted yourself. It was subtle. A conversation overheard. A message not returned. A decision made without you that should have included you. You didn't explode. You didn't beg. You went quiet but not weak. That restraint was noted. Heaven clocked it. God mode clearance requires composure under insult. It requires the ability to hold power without broadcasting it. That's why you weren't allowed to defend yourself publicly. Vindication is already scheduled, but it won't look like shouting, it will look like sudden. Elevation that answers every question without a word. Wait. Don't rush past this next part. The enemy does not want you to understand how the transfer happens. Clearance changes who can block you. It overrides old permissions. Some of the people who delayed you weren't evil, they were outdated. Their authority expired the moment you leveled up, and now the system is correcting itself. That's why you're sensing movement behind the scenes. Emails drafted but not sent. Conversations about you happening in rooms you're not in. Decisions being reconsidered. From heaven's view, it looks like chess pieces repositioning quietly before the board flips. From your view, it just feels like tension. Hold steady. Tension precedes access. I need to speak directly to the warrior in you now. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't have clearance to understand you. God mode doesn't argue with gatekeepers. It walks past them when the gate dissolves. The instruction tied to this elevation is precision. Move when prompted. Say no without guilt. Say yes without overthinking. You've been feeling those intuitive pings, small, almost inconvenient nudges. Don't go there. Delay that response. Rest now. Those are not random thoughts. Those are clearance-based commands. Follow them exactly. Heaven celebrates obedience more than speed. Let me open a loop for you. Because this matters, there is a table being prepared where the guest list surprises you. Some faces you expected will be absent. Some you never imagined will stand to honor you. This isn't about revenge. It's about revelation. When your status shifts suddenly, and it will feel sudden to everyone else, conversations that once dismissed you will pivot. Watch carefully who adjusts with grace and who resents the update. That information will protect you in the next season. You've been trained for influence without corruption. That's why money didn't rush in earlier. It had to wait until your discernment matured. Wealth responds to stewardship, not desperation. And right now, from the vantage point I speak from, I see channels unlocking. Not lottery chaos, not reckless overflow, but strategic transfer. Access to rooms where decisions are made. Visibility that doesn't exhaust you. Provision that supports purpose. This is why heaven is celebrating, not because you arrived loudly, but because you arrived ready. Before you click away, understand this. The next instruction is subtle, and missing it delays nothing permanently, but it does affect ease. Do not announce your next move. Not yet. God mode clearance operates best in silence before manifestation. Let results introduce you. Let receipts speak. There is protection in mystery right now. The enemy is listening for noise, scanning for tells. Give them none. Move clean. Move light. Move authorized. I'm circling back to something I said earlier because careful listeners are rewarded. Remember the dreams? The doors? The stunned faces? That wasn't fantasy, it was rehearsal. The reason they felt so real is because your spirit already walked the path before your body did. That's how heaven trains its chosen. First in the unseen, then in the visible. When it happens, and you'll know the moment, there will be a strange calm instead of excitement. That calm is confirmation. That's God mode stabilizing you so you don't fumble what you prayed for. From the enemy's side, panic is setting in. Their last tactic is distraction, pulling your focus into old arguments, old wounds, old explanations. Don't take the bait. You are not going backward to prove forward movement. The war shifted. This phase is administrative, paperwork, permissions, clearances aligning across realms. It looks boring from the outside. It is not. It is decisive. I'm going to pause here not because the message is finished, but because what unfolds next depends on your attention. Heaven is still celebrating your arrival. The music hasn't stopped. The table isn't fully revealed. And there are detail-specific ones about timing, about recognition, about who reaches out unexpectedly that are cued behind your obedience to what you've already heard. Stay alert. Stay aligned. Stay authorized. And the atmosphere shifts as I speak, because the next layer of this briefing moves from confirmation into coordination. What you sense this morning, that slight heaviness followed by an unexplainable clarity, was not mood fluctuation. It was alignment. Heaven adjusted your position overnight. That's why certain people felt distant today without doing anything wrong. You are phasing out of rooms that can no longer sustain your frequency. This is not abandonment. This is extraction. God mode clearance does not negotiate exits, it triggers them. There is a reason your patience was tested specifically around resources. Not just money, but access. Introductions withheld, approval stalled, invitations forgotten. You were being watched to see whether lack would make you compromise your character. It didn't. Instead, you refined. You learned how to stretch without shrinking, how to wait without whining, how to remain generous even when supply felt thin. That training is rare. Most people want overflow without restraint. You were taught restraint first, so overflow wouldn't own you. That's why the coming transfer won't destabilize you, it will obey you. I need to interrupt myself here, because what the Spirit is showing me right now is critical. There is a person close enough to know your vulnerabilities who assumed your delay meant decline. They quietly position themselves to benefit from what they believed you lost. They are not your enemy in the dramatic sense. They are your contrast. When the elevation happens, their confusion will be loud, even if their words stay polite. Do not gloat. Do not explain. Your silence will do more than confrontation ever could. Vindication is cleanest when it arrives without commentary. You may have noticed your tolerance for chaos dropping sharply. Loud environments exhaust you faster. Shallow conversations irritate you more than they used to. This isn't arrogance. It's calibration. God mode clearance heightens sensitivity because you are being positioned to make decisions that affect more than just you. The cost of misalignment increases with influence. That's why you're being pulled inward before being projected outward. The world calls this withdrawal. Heaven calls it fortification. Here's an open loop I'm intentionally leaving hanging for a moment. There is a document, an offer, or a conversation already drafted with your name attached that has not reached you yet. It's being delayed not by denial, but by timing. Someone higher up is rereading it, sensing there's more weight on this decision than they expected. They don't have language for it, but they feel it. That feeling is your clearance pressing against their discernment. When it lands, it will feel abrupt, almost casual, like it always existed and just needed a signature. That's how authorized things arrive. From heaven's side, celebration doesn't always look like fireworks. Sometimes it looks like relief, like finally deploying someone who won't abuse power, like entrusting a gate to a guardian instead of a performer. You were never meant to just receive, you were meant to regulate. That's why betrayal showed up early in your story. Better to learn discernment in obscurity than naivety in spotlight. The scars you carry are not liabilities. They are access codes. I'm shifting perspective again, stay with me. From your future self's vantage point, this season will be remembered as the quiet before acceleration. You'll look back and realize how many things didn't happen that would have complicated your rise. Relationships that didn't solidify, deals that fell through, paths that looked promising but dissolved. You were spared more than you were denied. God mode clearance includes protection you only recognize retroactively. Do not ignore the bodily signals right now. Tight shoulders, sudden fatigue followed by bursts of energy. The urge to clean, organize, simplify. These are not random impulses. They are preparatory instincts. You're making room. Influence requires space mentally, emotionally, physically. Clear what clutters you. Delete what distracts you. This is not busy work. This is consecration in modern language. Another re-engagement moment because wandering attention costs momentum. The enemy's final move is urgency without instruction. Pressure to act fast without peace. Offers that sparkle but feel off by a degree you can't explain. Decline them. God mode does not rush. It arrives precisely. Anything that demands panic is not aligned with your clearance. You are no longer chasing opportunity. Opportunity is being rerouted to you. Remember earlier when I told you to watch who adjusts with grace? That observation will matter sooner than you think. Allies reveal themselves not by celebration alone, but by respect for your boundaries. Anyone who resents your need for solitude right now is telling on themselves. The next phase requires confidentiality, not secrecy born of fear, but privacy born of stewardship. Protect the seed until it breaks ground. I am not closing this message because the sequence is still unfolding. There are layers to your arrival that will activate as you move. Expect recognition that feels overdue but not dramatic. Expect provision that solves multiple problems at once. Expect your name to come up in conversations you didn't campaign for. And expect moments where you feel the weight of responsibility more than the thrill of success. That weight is honor. That weight is trust. Stay receptive. Stay grounded. Stay silent when instructed and bold when released. Heaven hasn't just noticed you, it has cleared you. And what comes next will make sense only in motion. This is the final transmission, and it arrives not as a warning, but as a handoff. What you do with the next stretch of time determines how smoothly the elevation settles. The reason this message feels heavier now is because heaven is no longer explaining, it is entrusting. You are being treated as someone who can hold weight without collapsing. That's why the tone shifts. That's why the room feels quieter. Power does not shout when it knows it will be obeyed. There is one last maneuver the opposition attempts when clearance becomes irreversible. They try to pull you into commentary. They want you explaining your growth, justifying your distance, softening your authority so they feel comfortable again. Do not do it. Comfort is not the goal. Alignment is. If this confirms what you've been sensing, mark it. If this mirrors what you're living, acknowledge it. If you feel seen in this moment, say so. There is strength in recognition. Heaven is watching who agrees with truth out loud. Not for validation, but for alignment. Agreement sharpens reception. When you speak in resonance, pathways stabilize. This is why I'm instructing you now. If this message matches your current season, don't internalize it only. Signal it. A simple, "This is me," carries more authority than you realize. Type it if it's true. Let the unseen register your consent. The celebration you couldn't hear earlier becomes visible soon. Not flashy, not chaotic, clean, orderly, undeniable. The kind of success that silences rooms without you trying. The kind of favor that answers questions before they're asked. You will notice it first in how people treat your time, then in how systems stop resisting you, then in how provision arrives with instructions attached. Pay attention to the order. It matters. This is also how you will know who is meant to walk with you forward. Those who celebrate quietly without needing credit. Those who don't rush your process or pry for details. Those who honor your pace. If someone demands access before trust, they disqualify themselves. You don't owe explanations anymore. You owe stewardship. Before this closes, I'm giving you one final anchor. When movement accelerates, return to stillness daily. Not to retreat, but to recalibrate. God mode clearance stays stable only when the carrier remains grounded. If you've felt this message lock into place, confirm it. If you know this is your chapter, claim it. Comment what resonates. The signal matters. One last extension, because momentum is still building, and stopping abruptly would fracture the signal. What happens after this message matters just as much as what was said inside it. You are stepping into a phase where response replaces reaction. Things will come at you faster now. Requests, opportunities, opinions, expectations. Your authority will be measured not by how much you handle, but by how much you decline without guilt. That restraint is part of the clearance. You may notice people suddenly becoming curious about your routine, your mindset, your source. They will phrase it as admiration, but underneath is recalibration. They are trying to locate the shift. Do not dissect it for them. Let mystery do its work. Mystery protects momentum. If this feels accurate, mark it. If you've already seen this starting, say, "It's happening." Speaking it anchors the timeline. This is where many stumble right before stabilization. They overshare. They rush to celebrate prematurely. They try to bring everyone with them. You were not chosen to carry everyone. You were chosen to go first. Others will follow when the path is proven. That is not selfishness. That is leadership. As this closes, understand this clearly. Nothing meant for you is fragile. You cannot miss what is authorized. You can only complicate it by moving out of alignment. Stay steady. Stay observant. Stay obedient to the quiet instructions. If this message confirmed your inner knowing, acknowledge it. If you feel the weight and the peace at the same time, comment, "I receive." The signal is complete.